gentleman was saying that this is a constant conflict and it develops, and maybe we should look at the industries and the big factories and things that are feeding our desires and our willingness to kind of leave nature behind. And that's going to lead me right into something I wanted to ask Phoebe, as a biodiversity expert. Phoebe, in Cape Town we're all big greenies. Well, we think we are. We love Fynbos and we love the mountain, love everything. The conflict between humans and nature we look at big industry. Should we be looking at ourselves? How should we be handling it?
Peter, you always have a way of taking what I'm thinking and then just turning it on its head, which I hate. Peter, I think that the conflicts that several people have referred to are not necessarily insurmountable. And I want to go back to Akhona because I think you made some very important points at the beginning. A lot of the way that the world works, which has got us to the parlous state that we see today, is rooted in human psychology, and we've referred to behavior and the problems of behavior that we need to unpack. At the same time, as needing to drive change from the bottom up and not rely on power and vested interests and intrinsically slow and inefficient governments to try to change the world, we do need to build that civil society passion, that civil society awareness, and that civil society demand for change. At the same time, I've worked in a number of fora where big business and governments and a lot of the traditional nasties have sat together around the table and talked very animatedly and very constructively about issues. The Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, climate change fora. The world is coming around to the way we need it to be. Some are slower than others, and people who are starting up low-cost airlines all over the world are probably not going to be the fastest to change. One book that really made an impact on me was quite a quirky book by a guy called George Marshall called Carbon Detox. Has anyone in this room ever read it? Patrick, I know you have because I loaned it to you. I loved it so much, to my surprise, that I went out and bought a few copies so that I could loan it to my friends. Carbon Detox is a book rooted in marketing psychology, I think. And the author, who works in climate awareness NGOs in the UK, argues that people fall into, I think, 4 or 5 different categories. There are those, like many of us in the room, and I'm the worst of them, who wear sensible shoes and are well-meaning, hand-wringing, earnest types who want to change the world. And for those people, we almost don't have to worry about the message of climate change. Then there are the people who are in the fast lane, and a lot of young people fall into this category. They want to be hip, they want to be cool, they want to have the latest trendy things. Getting those people around climate change has to be a matter of fashion and vibe, and it sounds thoroughly distasteful to me, but that's what we've got to do. Then there are the people probably who have worked a lot of their lives and have built their careers around the oil industry or engineering or hydrology or, you know, mainstream science. And they feel they've worked hard for what they, you know, the vacations they want to take in France. And they're intrinsically sometimes conservative. So the messaging around climate change needs to be fundamentally different for those people. All of us are diverse. We don't fit into one package. And doom and gloom messages about climate change are debilitating to all of us. There's no reason that those of us who have, you know, contributed to a society which has put people on the moon and contributed to some of the world's greatest multilateral negotiations and the Sistine Chapel and everything else that we've done as a society isn't up to this task. And Al Gore and other people have made this point. There's no need to be pessimistic, but we have to be motivated now. And so all of these things that have been said, flying less, and I'm looking teasingly at my colleague Guy here, because this is an issue where he and I probably differ. Eating less meat, all of these kinds of things that people can do, we need to act on those quickly. And if Suzanne says, you know, reduce your emissions 10% in 2010, well, try to do it 20% in 2010, because time is not on our side.